Hi, welcome to rajxilinive and even welcome to the video series on understanding the job description while applying for job opportunities in reference to the JIRA admin part. As we all know, whenever we are working on agile environments nowadays, to manage teams, to manage their work progress, all that. So using JIRA is becoming essentially important nowadays. In connect to that, prominency as well as importance of role in reference to the JIRA administration has already becoming important. So JIRA administrators are the people who usually creates projects, maintaining projects. All these things will be taken care of by them, like whatever the back-end activities, everything will be managed by them. So in this video, I am going to explain you about what are the different skill sets. It's not only basic skill sets and what are the major skill sets I can say. What are the skill sets required for any JIRA administrators while they are preparing their resume, followed by that while they are applying for the any kind of jobs by going through the job description. So are as follows. The first thing, being a JIRA administrator, we must be good at creating the project, either these project creations, either from the team level or organizational level, like team creation, project creations, and all everything is required. So followed by project creation, we need to maintain the projects. Either it could be single or multiple projects, followed by access management, all that. At the same time, whenever people are working on JIRA from the development perspective or from the Scrum Masters or product owners, all that. So Scrum Master, JIRA administrators always makes to focus more on the day-to-day operations, because these are the day-to-day operations which, being a Scrum Master, we have to focus on, like support for the team, whatever the works to be taken care of. At the same time, the basic as well as advanced level administration has to be taken care of. At the same time, they have to make sure performance of the application must be good. So for that, maintenance is required. At the same time, monitoring the JIRA tool, followed by this, if there is any kind of enhancements to be made to the existing ones, that also will be done here. This is also another responsibility, being a JIRA administrator, we will be taken care of. Followed by this, we must be knowing about configuration part. How you require to configure the application, like configuring security, configuring the emails. At the same time, configuration relating to the global settings, because here there are two things. One is project rules and second is global rules. Project rules, which are defined to make this project completed successfully. This is all generally project rules are. Global rules, like based on the global settings, where if you are connecting with some external servers and all everything. So the global settings is also required for any JIRA administrator to run. Of course, apart from that, server administration knowledge is required even. At the same time, we should have an experience over integrating to JIRA with the different code development tools, something like Jenkins, GitHub, right? So all the DevOps tools and all everything. So that sort of knowledge is also essential and required. Along with this, being a JIRA administrator, then one of the major responsibility is to create workflows, because workflows creation for the tasks as well as the tickets or as well as the issues what we have created. So automation of the workflows, creation of workflows. At the same time, configuring customer fields, custom fields, different custom fields we have. So the configuration of the custom fields. At the same time, creating filters, customization of the filters, right? So identification of the defects, test outcomes, all these things is also a responsibility of an administrator. Followed by this, we must be knowing about creation of schemes, creation of the schemes as well as screen schemas like permission schemes, notification schemes. All these things is also required for any admin. Apart from that, we must be knowing about how to develop plugins for this JIRA application, because different plugins are available. Depends on the requirement to requirement, these plugins will vary. So that information can also be known here. Apart from this, we need to build some dashboards, whatever the dashboards required for a JIRA to develop. Because whenever we are creating a project, there are some dashboards we create in top of it. Like where in this dashboard, you can see the filters, right? So whatever the different options we have, everything can be upgraded in the dashboard itself. So dashboard creations at the same time connecting add-ons, all these things is also a responsibility of an admin. Next is service management, because if you want to raise any kind of tickets for troubleshooting and all everything, JIRA service management, but some organizations use JIRA with ServiceNow. JIRA tool with ServiceNow is what some organizations do. And some organizations use JIRA with JIRA service management, because JIRA service management itself will be used to raise tickets and solve queries, all that. So this is all generally JIRA service management is used. In this service management, we must be knowing about how to create workflows, permission schemes, dynamic forms, customer portals. At the same time, automation of the rules, because different rules we have to define, like project rules. At the same time, global rules. All these things we have to create. So this creation of rules is also something essentially important when any of the JIRA administrator who is performing this. Right? So this is where generally one must be knowing and one must be able in a position to understand. This is what generally the JIRA administration was. Let me show you so that you'll have an idea over that. Right. So if you can take this JIRA as an admin, JIRA is a tool. If you can see here, JIRA. So there are some rules as I mentioned you, right? So for example, as I told you, right? So we need to connect with different automation rules, all that stuff. So this is where generally rules comes into picture. If you have taken any application, here you can see there are some project settings will be there. In this project settings, what we can do, we can go for automation here. This is where generally rules will be mentioned. Either it could be a project rules or it could be global rules. Yeah, so you can see here, these are the automation rules. What are the rules in reference to the project? These are the different automation rules has to be created. Apart from that, the global rules, if there is any kind of global permissions to be given, right? Because here I mentioned this, right? So this is where generally you can see. Here I can say, I've told something like, global settings, right? So this is where generally I told that. So this global settings on that. So these global permissions and all everything, these global rules, writing some project rules. If you want to write a project rule where you have to go to create, where you need to identify whatever the trigger we want to use and how to create batch created, right? How to create the batches. All these things is what we need to know, right? So this is how we have to create some project rules, all that stuff is what one must be knowing, being a JIRA administrator you need to do. At the same time, if you want to develop any kind of schemas or something like, where if you want to edit any kind of notifications, here we have to add the notifications, we need to assign, right? So all these notification schemas and all everything should also be done by us, being a JIRA administrator. So this is also essentially required. So this is where generally these rules and all everything comes into picture. At the same time, JIRA APIs, because different application programming interfaces connecting with JIRA, followed by script runner, majorly used when we are working on this Groovy scripting and all everything. The script runners and all everything are being used. That script runner knowledge is also required. To write some queries and all, not only SQL, of course, you need to have a knowledge over JQL as well, because like SQL, because SQL will be used as a structured query language to extract queries and to write queries. In the same way, whenever we are working on JIRA, there is a query language which is called JQL, JIRA query language. So that knowledge should also be required, followed by this, whatever the scriptings are we doing, something like Jelly scripting, Java scripting, this knowledge is also needed. Next, writing automation scripts, preferably in Groovy scripting, or else JIRA service desk management. This sort of knowledge is also required. Apart from that, an additional thing I can say, because I don't say this is mandatory, but if you have a knowledge over how to write coding and all everything will be helpful to you. because I am saying it is helpful, okay, which is not mandatory. Writing code and all everything will also be helpful to you when and wherever it is needed. At the same time, how to transform the data, connecting APIs, this knowledge is also equally needed. Followed by this, you need to have a knowledge over software development lifecycle, because whenever we are working on the projects, some projects will be in waterfall model, some project will be on agile model. So if you are working on, usually this JIRA tool will be used in the environment of agile environment. So that in this agile environment, either we are going for Scrum or Kanban model we are following that. So we need to have an experience how to work with agile teams like Scrum Masters, development team, product owner, all that. Followed by this basic understanding over software development lifecycle is also essentially required. Last but not least, CI/CD tools, something like DevOps tools for continuous integration and continuous development and deployment. Followed by this release process. This knowledge is also required for a JIRA. So these are the major skill sets. These are the skill sets which required for any administrator, person who is applying for the job opportunities is all. I hope this video will be helpful to you understand about how to create your resumes, right? So how to, what are all the points need to be mentioned into that. At the same time, when you are applying for job opportunities on what basis. Right? So all these things, I hope this video will give some uh, understanding to you as well. If you have any questions, if you have any queries in regard to that, please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.